I just went on my knees and I just said, just forgive me. So I decided I don't want to go back and forth. My mind is resolute. I just want peace.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
I just want peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to I've Been Meaning to Ask. I'm excited today, like I always am. But today we have a special family, the Bwonya family. And they're here on set and they have an intriguing story. I really believe everyone has a story, but when you listen to this family, you will agree with me that this was a story that had to be on this show. Karibuni sana. Welcome, 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 you guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Mom, thank you for coming. Faith,
Thank you.
Lety, and Kimmy. Man, those stories, my goodness. And then you said there is also Ella.
Absolutely.
Is she the first one?
She is.
She will. Okay, we will get there. We will get there.
Yeah.
Mom, tell us.
Yes.
You have such beautiful daughters with
Thank
beautiful names.
Thank you.
Where did it all begin? First, tell us what their names mean.
Okay. So first and foremost, I have a disclaimer to make that of all the people that you could invite, and just like that on Sunday when we met, and I'm thinking, where is this going? We were very, very humbled, and to be here is a really great honor and privilege. We don't deserve of any of this, but here we are.
Welcome, welcome. The honor is mine.
Thank you. So I have 3 daughters.
Yes.
There's Ella, she's 23.
Okay.
And then Kimmy is 19, and Lety is 16.
Wow.
Ella, so you're looking for baby names, and so going through the baby names book, this is 2001, we are still, and I find the name Ella. I just wanted a short, nice and simple name, so I stumbled on Ella. I can't even remember what it meant at the time. Okay. Actually, I don't really remember what their names really, at the time, I wasn't really looking too much. Lety, I was expecting her when my husband died, so I named after my sister-in-law, because my late husband really liked the Juliet. Her name is Juliet, so I just decided, let me shorten it and then call her Lety. But now, more and more, the names transform with time. So Kimmy is Yahweh establishes.
Yahweh establishes, or raised by Yahweh.
Raised by Yahweh. So
I like that. Wow.
That would be a revelation.
Yes, yes.
In the making.
Yeah.
And then Lety means gladness, joy and gladness.
All right.
So joy, so much so that after my husband died, then she gave me a reason. She distracted me to to move on. Yes. Yeah. So that's what their names.
Fantastic.
Basically mean, yeah.
So you talked about 2007. Your husband died. Is that when?
Yes.
Okay.
2007, Sunday morning on the 4th of March.
Oh dear.
It's Sunday. We think we're going to go to church, but I'm having this very bad. I'm 5 months pregnant with Lety, and I'm having this terrible cramps. Her pregnancy was different. I was really, the morning sickness was really intense. Yeah. But my father-in-law had come to visit on a hospital visit, so then my husband had seen him off to the bus to Easy Coach. So he had left to Kakamega, and then he had come back to the house, and we were doing breakfast and things, and so Alistair, that's his name. So he had just come back, and so he had his breakfast. It was an election year, and he was an ODM guy like that. So, we had the nation and standard. So he reads the standard, he finishes, he leaves it downstairs, and he goes up because he had to get up early to take his father to the bus. And he says, let me go up and rest. But then he tells me that, because he used to cut the children's nails, and he says, Kimmy's nails are a bit long, so I need to do them. So let me go up and rest a little bit.
Yeah.
So he went, Kimmy, they finished their breakfast, and so we think we're going to church, or maybe we're not going. We used to go to the Salvation Army at OTC place. And so a few minutes later, I decide to just go upstairs, and I'm like, well, nothing much. So I go upstairs with Kimmy. Ella was downstairs, right? So I go upstairs, and I find, so on the bed, so I see him lying down. His feet are on the floor, but the rest of the body is like, he's lying, and his
eyes are rolled backwards.
So what I see, so the newspaper is the Nation is really nicely tucked by the pillow, and I see his eyes are sort of like looking up, they're tucked up, and they look strange. Yeah. And I'm thinking, and his phone is ringing, and I'm thinking, what's going on? So and it's Sunday morning, everybody has gone to church. So I panic, and I start to wake him, call him, he wouldn't answer. So I call Ella. Now I'm in panic. I call Ella. Go and get the neighbors. Go and get Mama Rene. Go and get somebody. So Ella is running all over the place, going to look for neighbors. There's nobody. Our saving grace was my neighbor next door, who their 7th day. So on Sunday they were home. So she came in. But then I start calling. So I call my brother-in-law, Arnold. I can't reach anybody that morning. I call Arnold, he's not answering. Darlene is not answering. And then I call a friend of mine. So she says, Faith, you're very lucky. She had gone to sit and she says, I was just about to switch off my phone. Let me come. So then I call his doctor. And I called the doctor and I said, there's something is not right. Why I'm calling his doctor is because he's been having high blood pressure, resulting as an aortic aneurysm. He had an aortic aneurysm that has been, last year March, now the previous year in 2006, we found he had an aortic aneurysm. So with blood pressure, so that was putting blood pressure up. So now he was under management by the doctor. So that's why I called the doctor and he said, let's meet at Nairobi Hospital now. So we called them a size, because now he was a bit heavy. So we called them a size and then they came. And then my friend had arrived by this time, so the Maasais helped to carry him into the car. I packed Ella and Kimmy, my neighbor took them, their pampers and whatever, with Kimmy's pampers, I took to the neighbor and I said, so we left the house, went straight to hospital. Luckily, Dr. Madenge had just arrived, and so he starts now attending to him.
Before we get there,
yes,
you were with Mom upstairs.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. How old were you at this time?
I was two. So for 15 years, I had this memory of seeing his eyes rolled behind his head. But because I didn't have, because I didn't have context of the story, my mom wouldn't tell me like the details until I was 15. So I would always say, but what happened? Because I can see his eyes, like I remember the image of his eyes rolled backwards. And that's when she sat me down to tell me what had actually happened. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So that gave me a lot of peace and calm, because now my head wasn't reconstructing different stories. And now I could actually see, oh, that's what happened. That's why I keep seeing his eyes backwards. That's the only memory I have of him. I don't know his voice, don't really know how he looks, but that's all I remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to ask you, you want to so you get to the hospital.
So we get to the hospital, but fast forward, so the doctor, so we're at A&E at Nairobi Hospital, and the doctor, he's trying, he's doing his thing. They had spoken the previous day with the doctors, so they had become friends because of that interaction, because of his, my late husband, he was an engineer by profession, he worked with Kenya Airports Authority, and so they were interacting, and the doctor had a brother who he wanted, they wanted to do something, so they were talking. So on Saturday they had been having discussions, but it's just that my father-in-law had to go to hospital, so they were not able to meet. But long story short, for the next, this is around 11 o'clock, it's actually midday, it's around midday. So between midday and 1, Dr. Madenge is doing his thing, and at this time I'm Catholic, so I have got my rosary and I'm praying and just going through the motions. So by this time my father-in-law is on his way to go to the village. So the doctor comes back to me after like an hour and he says, Faith, I've tried everything. I'm sorry we've lost him. I told him, I said, Dr. Madenge, that is not possible. Just go and talk to him. He's your friend. Just talk to him nicely. Just talk to him. So he goes back, and then he comes back and he says, Faith, sorry, this is it.
Wow.
His aorta must have ruptured.
Wow.
Yeah.
You all had been married or together for how long?
We had been married. We got married in 2000, in 2000 April, actually 29th. So we'd been married. So it was going to be our 7th anniversary in April. So this is March.
So this is a month before.
Just a month before.
Wow.
And he had just turned 39 in January.
Yeah. And how did this shatter your life?
First and foremost, I'm looking at my stomach and I'm like, we have a baby coming.
And now this time you are how many months pregnant?
5.
5 months.
Yes. Yeah. And I said, we have a baby coming. We had plans. I'm like, so now what? Look at Ella just gone to class 1. She was actually in her first term of class 1. She just finished her half term. Kimmy is 2 years and I'm like, now what?
Were you working at the time?
So I was in between jobs, but I had this so we were reorganizing our lives in that now he had a job that was like a permanent job. So the idea was that for me to now get into a family business, so that one person is on this side and then the other person. So I had an in-between job. So yes, I had a job. I had a job. I'm an administrator. I'm a secretary, first trained secretary, then administrator. So I had a job, yes. I was working with an NGO at the time.
Your life is shattered. Things have happened. And then one of the things I heard is you were blamed for the death of your husband.
I don't know an African man that dies that the wife doesn't kill.
That's so well said. Yeah, very well said.
I don't know, because my own mother, my father is, has been dead, 20. So I had that about, my mother was even in the village, my father was here. Oh, so you hear these things. So I'm thinking, so no African, the men that many men I've had, the wives have killed. So of course the blame was put on me. So I had, she killed the man, and I'm thinking, first of all, the guy was not well. Number two, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
I have small children. Of what benefit is it for me to kill him?
Absolutely.
I mean, and even how it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't.
And this was coming, all these allegations usually come from family.
Well, of course, family, friends, and all of this. Yeah, so there's all that going. There's a lot of things playing. Yeah. Some you don't hear immediately, you hear them as time goes by and you're thinking, where is this coming from? But,
Yeah. Kimmy, how did this all affect life for you, as far as you remember or recall?
I think it came in different stages, because growing up I was in school, so I wasn't really thinking much.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what the benefit of a dad was.
Yeah.
Because my mom was trying very hard to take up the space.
Yeah.
And she did her best. She still does. But it got to a point where, because of the allegations and stuff like that, my mom had to keep us away from the home for a little bit of a while, because I say that she couldn't put us in an ocean without teaching us how to swim first.
Yeah.
So she had to teach us first. And so when now we were ready, the Holy Spirit had put in her heart 11 years after my dad died to go back to the home and take us there. So my grandmother...
To the home, explain that.
My father's home.
Okay.
Yeah, take them back.
So move back to, is that Kisumu?
Kakamega.
No, that's Kakamega.
Okay.
Yeah, now we hadn't seen our grandparents since Lety had never met them.
Wow.
Yeah, I never remembered them because I was so young.
Yeah.
But my mom felt an inclination by the Holy Spirit to go back.
Okay.
And prior to that, my grandmother had been praying that I'm not ready to die until I see
my dad's mom.
Yeah.
So your dad's mom.
Yeah, my dad's mom.
Okay.
I'm not ready to die until I see my son's kids.
Yeah.
So we go on a Friday, I don't remember exactly the date. We see her. So my mom goes first with elders and whatnot, tradition stuff and stuff like that. And then we go the next day, and we had to leave school because it was a Friday. And so we go and we meet our grandparents. My grandmother is very warm. She was warm at that time.
Yeah.
And my grandfather was, trying.
Yeah.
And so a week later, my grandmother died.
Wow.
Exactly 1
week. Wait, hold that thought. Yeah. What was that traditional thing that had to happen before the kids could come over?
So I haven't been home. So my husband dies and I'm expecting. So soon after, of course, 4 months later, I have this baby.
Yeah.
So I'm expected to go back to the village to do, they have all these traditional things.
Yeah, yeah. Almost like welcoming the baby or...
Not the baby. This is about the late.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So there are those traditional things that you have to do.
Yeah.
So I wasn't available.
Okay.
For the
so
reason...
that hasn't happened yet.
So, no, that didn't happen.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to go. And of course, with all these allegations you've killed and you have done. So we're ostracized.
Yeah. Plus you were mourning. So,
but no, but I mean, that was not, it was not important.
Yeah.
So I was ostracized.
Wow.
I was cast out.
So this is now almost like let's come together first.
Yeah.
And mend the fences before you can bring the family. And then...
That it wasn't from them. So of course now there's even a court battle going on. My father-in-law has taken me to court.
Oh, wow.
With all manner of, these things. So at this point now, the 11 years that Kimmy is talking about. So by this time we've moved to Kisumu.
Okay.
So there now, I've given my life to Christ and we've moved on like that. So I just feel this nagging of the Holy Spirit and I hear the Holy Spirit telling me, Faith, what if anything happen, just go back home. And I'm like, I'm struggling, and I'm like, oh, but how am I going? I mean, these people, will they receive us on what and what and what? So I go and, you know, and I'm struggling with this, and I go and speak to our neighbors. We were in a cell group with some friends of ours. I go and I'm like, Sylvester, I'm feeling this urge. I'm feeling like going, you know, to just go and say, and take the blame and whatever it is, just to go and just for mending peace and blessed are the peacemakers. So I make a phone call and reach out to whoever, I can't remember who I reached out to, I think my mother-in-law. And I said I'd like to come. And so long and short, we go. But then I have to go with elders.
Yes.
And some people, and they have also to bring their elders.
Yeah.
So after 11 years,
wow,
I go to the home. Of course, a lot of things have gone on. So we get home. We have our pastor, and they have their people on their side. But he wants us to do traditional things. Whatever that meant, to slaughter some things.
And here you are, you're new in the faith.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you know some of these things are not right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or at least you were feeling that.
Yeah.
Or you were sensing that.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So, like the Lord would have it, on their side, their elders, an elder stood up and said, if we are going to have any of these traditional things, there's no blood going to be shed here. So they bolted and they said that is not going to happen.
Wow.
So my father-in-law he took a very hardline stand, and he just said, no, you're not, you know. So anyway, with a lot of persuasion and but my mother-in-law was very nice. And so I don't know if this goes on TV or whatever it goes, but so one lady from the church says, Mama, sema ile kitu ulikuwa unasema, ati Faith aliua Malista.
Wow.
So she says, nilikuwa ninalia, nilikuwa na uchungu sana, na nikasema hivyo ndio, lakini nisamehe, hiyo haikuwa ukweli. And what.
Your mother-in-law says
that. My mother-in-law says that.
Wow.
In front of all those people. And then now, but my father-in-law was very adamant. He says no, so he has all these court papers, and I took the property, and I don't know, I took what. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking. But anyway, these things don't even add up. But anyway, so took a very hard line stand. And I just went on my knees and I just said, just forgive me. So I decided, I don't want to go back and forth. My mind is resolute. I just want peace.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
I just want peace.
Yeah. Yeah. You were ready to take the fall.
I did too.
For the sake of peace.
I took it for the sake of, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I took it for peace. I said, whatever it is, just put the blame on me.
Yeah.
We're not arguing this now. Just one peace. So my father-in-law at some point badges and he just says, come. So I went, says kneel down. So I knelt down, and then he put his hand, I think, on me. I don't know what it is that he did, but then he said, okay, I forgive you.
Wow. 1 week later.
This is Wednesday. So my mother-in-law says, okay, all I want to see my children. How is Ella? Because Ella is the one they could remember the most. How is Ella? I want to see my children. Luckily, as the Lord would have it, there's no luck here anymore. We are in Kisumu. So Kisumu and Kakamega is just like it's 45 minutes. Yeah. So she says, I want to see my grandchildren. And I'm like, okay, I'll bring them on Friday. And as it happens, again, my brother-in-law has been living in the States, so he's gotten married, and he's brought his wife to come and introduce her. So something is happening on Saturday. So there are a lot of things that are happening on the side. Yeah. So they have this function on Saturday, and so even we are coming. So I didn't know all of this. So anyway, so Friday we come home, and we spend the night. Saturday there's a function.
They're overjoyed, of course, to meet the
very
grandkids.
happy. Oh yeah. So so Lety's looking at me like, so this is now Lety's moment. It's the first time she's coming home. They've never met her.
Yeah.
So we go, and so that's Friday now. So we are all there, and it's a moment on its own.
Lety, how old were you then?
I was 11.
11. Yes. Tell us about. We'll come back to Mom, but tell us, what was your experience?
It's different to have a parent die, but but when they died, but also knowing that they didn't know you when they died is a different feeling. So it's you grow up knowing that I hypothetically had a father because I've never met him. Obviously, I grew up asking myself questions like, did he even know who I was? Like, he doesn't even know I exist. He doesn't know my name. He doesn't know, how tall I am. He doesn't know I have his eyes. He doesn't know I have just small things like those. So you grow up and you hear about fathers, but to you, fathers don't. It's a concept. It's this hypothetical being. Like,
it's a theory.
It's a theory.
Yeah.
I remember like maybe going to my friends' houses and they're there with their parents, and I'm seeing this dynamic of a two-parent household. It just doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, our father is actually present, so it's never. I've never known what it would be like. So when my mom comes home and she tells us that we're going to meet your grandparents and we're going to see your father. So, but even before that, growing up, I'd always ask my mom, when will I see my father's grave? I always used to ask her that, and obviously you're young, she can't tell you the details of what happened when my father died.
Yeah.
So growing up, I'd always be like, she told me, oh yeah, when you turn 8, I'll take you.
Class 8.
First she told me when I turned 8, then I turned 8 and I was like, Mom, I'm 8 now, can I go see my father's grave? Then she told me, no, when you're in class 8, then I'll take you.
Yeah.
So you don't know why she's holding back on taking you there, but as a child you just follow. So she comes home and she tells us we're going to see, we're going to that side of the family, and it's not news you're expecting to hear, because it's like, where has this come from? It's all these years, and it's not anything you've been talking about, like, oh yeah, let's plan to go see them. So it's a back, and it's a Wednesday, she's coming home and she's telling us we're going to see them on Friday. So it's a lot of tension. It's sudden. It's a sudden moment. But I remember meeting my grandparents for the first time, and my grandmother especially, it was, I can't explain the moment, and she just welcomed me with so much love, like she's known me my whole life, and I'll never ever forget that moment. And I remember getting there, and all I was looking for is my father's grave, because that's what I've waited for all of these years. And I see his grave, and I have I know it's a monument, and he's dead and all of that, but it's the closest I'll ever be to him. It's all I'll ever know of him. I can see pictures and I can hear stories, but I'll never know him.
Yeah.
And so when I see his grave, it's a feeling you can't explain. It's this being you've seen on pictures. It's this being you've had stories about. I've never seen a picture of his grave, and there's this one picture of him that my mom always kept in the house. So that's all I know of this man. And he's wearing a grey suit in this picture, and he's smiling. That's all I know of this man. So seeing his grave, and it's like you're 6 feet beneath me. Like, this is the closest we'll ever be to each other. And I think also accepting the reality that it doesn't get any closer than this. And this is as close as it gets.
Wow. I mean, you elicit so much emotion just by your explanation of it. And for many people who have had interaction with their parents, to actually understand that for you this was so surreal. Yeah, that was such a powerful moment, and thank you for sharing that with us. Kimmy, for you, what was that like?
It was interesting. I like to observe a lot of things, so I just look at people and I'm like, you're interesting. My grandmother cried a lot. She cried a lot. My grandfather was just like looking around, stern face, like, oh, you are the ones, Yeah. But my grandmother really cried, and it took a little bit of a while for my grandfather to break, a long time. But it was interesting. I was just looking around. I was just observing what's going on. I did see my father's grave, and I think every time I see it, I always cry. I remember I used to go there and I would say, what kind of family did you marry my mom into?
I'm hearing that for the first time.
That is funny.
So I'd stand over his grave and I'm like, you need to be for real, sir. So I would sit there, then my sisters would take selfies. I'd be like, take a selfie of me and the man. Yeah, so that's how it was. I tried to, my sisters and I always find a way to make sure we laugh about everything. Yeah. So nothing really makes us sad, unless it really does. But even if somebody has passed away, oh my gosh, you remember that funny story? Ha ha ha, you laugh about it. Yeah, so we never, I think if we were grieving over everything that happened, we'd be dead by now, really.
Wow.
Yeah, but because the Lord has given us so much joy. So everything for me is an opportunity to laugh. So I found it so interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just one more thing to add is also, you're seeing this family for the first time, and there's also this thought of, what if they don't think I'm my father's child?
Which was was always a thought.
Which was always, so my biggest fear is like, I'm going to meet these people, and they know Kimmy, they know Ella, and now I'm here. They've never met me. None of these people know what I look like. They just have no concept of who I am. So you're scared that they'll think this is not our son's child, or they'll, something of the sort. But luckily, I'm as tall as my father. I have my father's eyes. I have his eyebrows. So and then I was looking at these people, and I saw my grandfather. I was so angry that I could see me in him. I was so angry. I was like, I have his eyes, but it's not like, I have his eyes. It's I have his. I wish I didn't I'm happy that at least they know that I cannot be their son's child. Yeah. But it's also this sort of anger and this pain, like this is actually enough. It's not a joke anymore. It's not really. It's no longer a story that you had. But this is my family. These are the people who I'll introduce, my future kids to in my family. So.
Lety, why were you upset? Why were you angry with your grandfather?
Because you've had a few stories. I hadn't had too many stories because my mom always. I don't think she never held them in the negative eye in top four. Like she never painted them in a negative picture for us growing up. So I knew a bit of the story. In fact, before we went to see them, she had to obviously give me a background of the story. Like, okay, before you go there, this is why you haven't been there, and this is what happened. So knowing the story and knowing that this is the man behind the pain. This is the man behind me not seeing my father's grave for 11 years. So you're looking at this man, and it's a lot of pain because you're seeing this man, and it's like you're meant to be my grandfather, but I'm looking at you, and I'm not only scared of you, I'm angry at you, but then again, out of respect, you're meeting these people for the first time. You can't display the emotions, you can't display the anger. These are your elders. My mom also has taught us respect. They're older than you, respect them. Doesn't matter what they've done, respect them. So you're seeing them, and it's like, I can't shout at you. I can't be angry. I just have to. You have to stand there with respect, but it also there's a lot of burning pain inside. There's so much pain behind it.
Yeah. Mom, they probably don't remember what really changed. What do you think really changed after your husband passed on?
Everything changes. Everything changes. You're waiting for this man to come, you're waiting for him at the gate, he doesn't come anymore. This is the breadwinner of the home. This is your security, your support system, he's supposed to help you raise the children. He's not there now, and he didn't give you a memo that, I won't be here. I mean, the resources, everything, that's it. So where do you begin? And you don't even have enough peace because, all this noise coming from, our son had so much wealth, he had so much things, a lot of fabricators.
Gold under the bed.
Is that one of the claims? It was gold under the bed. I like
you misinterpreted. Yeah. It's a lot going on. So, and then you just don't know who to trust. You don't know who to trust anymore.
Is that something, Mom, is that something you think a lot of widows go through?
Oh, man. Yeah. Widows are suffering.
Yeah.
Widows. When I meet a widow who comes from a supportive family and they say, my people, my in-laws have taken my... I have a friend whose husband died not so long ago. And she'd be like, they're paying for my son's university and they're doing, and I'm thinking,
That's different. Yeah. That's an anomaly. It doesn't normally happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's not normal. That's an odd. It's one out of, it's the exception.
So, Mom, you have 3 daughters. They're all growing. They're all in school. You're between jobs. How did you even muster enough courage to even move on another day? Because I know people go into depression, people, go into all sorts of things.
Yeah.
What happened? Talk to us a little about that. Paint the picture for us.
So for me, the first priority is I've buried him. First things first. So now let's go back and regroup. Number 2 on the agenda is, in fact, Kimmy had to go to school by fire by force the following morning. On Monday morning, I took her to Msingibora. I held Mr. Swai's hand because, we used to pre-book Msingibora when you're expecting. back in the day.
Yeah.
So I take Kimmy to Msingibora and I tell Mr. Swahi, here. And she's still crying.
She's still crying. Wow. Were you crying from what's happened, or are you crying for you don't want to go to school?
She didn't want to go to school.
No idea.
No, that she was, so I just gave Mr. Swahi, I said, listen, here is the child. You just find a class. I don't know what you're going to do, because I have to run around and buy coffee and do all manner of things. And I can't have her in the house.
Absolutely.
Because people, I mean, the traffic and all of that. Ella, at least my neighbor was like, okay, let me do the dropping to school.
Yeah.
I'm like, this one, at least I have in the stomach. This one we can walk around with. So this one is safe for now.
Yeah.
So now the order of business is at least one is out of the way. Ella is going to school and we put on the bus. She has to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, cross the road, airport. We are living on airport on Bagadi Road. She has to cross the road, but that's fine. Kimmy, I have to find a way to take her to school, and then now the next business is to deliver her. Okay, no, but in between first, this job, in fact, because I just gotten hired in February, so it was a month, but as the Lord would have it, they said, no, Faith, you don't have to worry about the job. We are securing your job, so henceforth, you come and work. You are very, very, very gracious.
Yeah.
Say, okay, henceforth, you come, you've got an office, you have a job, don't worry about that. So that is fine. So now let's have her delivered.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have her delivered. It's different. I mean, you're used to going to theatre, to labor ward with your husband helping you, but now, wow. So in the evening I leave work, she's due, the doctor is like, we have to get you in. So I go home that evening and I'm arranging, my house girl arranging all this and this and this. I jump into a taxi, we didn't have Uber in the day, and off to hospital, and I just lay in that bed and I just looked up and I didn't have anything to say. All I felt were tears coming. Now, now the reality now is slowly beginning to sink in. Anyway, she's born. And then, so now I start looking at now I have 3 children. I have a job, yes, but the money, even if I start counting, I can't multiply it to give me much. So I have to find a way of making an extra, income so that it can be enough for the kids.
Were you in Kisumu yet?
No. We are in Nairobi. Kisumu was much later. Oh, this all happened in Kisumu, in Nairobi. Kisumu was one of the adjustments, the subs. So I'm thinking, we had started this small company with my husband. It was a construction company, and I'm thinking, I'm not a contractor myself. He was the engineer. And I'm thinking, and we don't have any worker. So I'm thinking, now this is a point where I'm going to have to take a risk. This money, I'm counting it, here's Kutosha. Let me go into business. So long and short, I get a contract somewhere and I move out. I say, because I can't serve 2 masters. Yeah. Let me go.
In construction?
In construction.
Wow, okay.
So
you were brave enough to step out and look. You had no choice.
I was looking at my options. What is going to make me at least be able to afford them a decent life?
Wow.
And also so that my hours are not restricted, so at least I can be available to run around and do and drop and pick and do whatever it is that I need
Good
to
for
do.
you.
So I left. So I started to do construction work. In the beginning it went well. Well, we were managing and doing 1 or 2 things, of course using now the few contacts that I had. Yeah, what was the question again?
So what happened after that?
So we are moving, and then of course I'm thinking now we are far away from school, because now I have 3 girls. I'm thinking if we're going to go to Kianda, it's better we move nearer the school.
Yeah.
So that this transport and all these nightmares, you're hearing Sijua Makini bus is doing what, during the floods and what, and I'm like, wacha watembe. So I move, I find a place, I look for a property near a school, so I relocate. So it's just a matter of rearranging myself. They're growing, at least they're well.
Yeah.
But then I tell them, they have instructions that, nobody will ever get you out of school. You just have to make sure that, because, now, at some point I even started getting threats from people saying, we want to come and kidnap and whatever. I got those kidnapping whatever. Because now these people were using all manner of gimmicks to just frustrate.
No, this is family.
This is family.
So are they after some property? Are they after some wealth? Are they, what's their drive? What were they hoping to achieve?
Property. He's left a lot of property.
So he had left a lot of property?
Had he left a lot of property? There was no property.
Oh, there was no property?
No.
So they assumed he left property?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he had a big contract of I don't know how many billions or whatever. And I'm like, hey. Yeah, it was a lot. So it's just frustrating me. Oh, even the house where we're living, and all of this. But again, fast forward, I so I'm doing things here and there, managing, somehow, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so they're growing and they're going, and now we're in school, they're in Kianda, now Lety has to go to school, it's her time to go to school, and she's at Msingibora, and now soon Ella will be a candidate. Yeah, so that's where we are.
So you are managing. By this time you're managing.
I'm managing.
You've gone into construction now, and you're...
Yeah, I'm managing.
Now, something caused you to move to Kisumu. What made you make a decision? You're living in Nairobi, you're moving to Kisumu.
I thought you'd never ask. So, in that process, and ambitious and young, and you're thinking, I'm thinking, so the new constitution is promulgated. And I'm thinking, I can actually run for office.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know that. Wow. So this is 2002?
13.
13. Oh, 2013. That's right.
13.
Yeah. So
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, so somebody comes to me. Actually, we're going to look, we're going to Narok with some friends of mine, and we're going to look for, we're going to see the town clerk, whoever it was at the time. We're going to look for work.
Yeah.
So this guy says, Faith, you're the kind of people who make governor.
So what your husband had with the whole political attraction, you saw this is possible.
And if I tell you that he was the current president's classmate in high school, so I mean, we knew, so that bug bites me.
Wow. Okay. So 2013.
2013.
We can do this.
So I'm thinking, and the constitution looks friendly. I mean, in terms of finances, you don't have to use a lot of money, and you're looking for women and whatever. And I'm like, what do these positions are for? Who see anybody
That's
can?
right. I like that.
Yeah.
No, it's the right thinking. There's no doubt.
Isn't it? I mean, really.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I'm like, And then unfortunately, he is telling me that, and then somebody else is calling me and telling me, oh, Faith, we need to meet, and blah, 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 blah. So I meet with this gentleman, and he's like, I've come to you from where? And I'm thinking, why don't you run for governor of Busia County? And I'm thinking, Busia is my ancestral home. And I'm thinking, this can be happening the same day.
It's not a coincidence. All these people have come.
All these forces are just coming from left, right, and center. Thank you.
Okay.
So, so he's like, no, I'm going to take you to a friendly party and what. And I'm going, when my mind is made up, my face is set like a flint.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm going, and I'm thinking, I went, dived, ran for office, for senator for Busia County.
2013 election.
The first cohort, so to speak.
Under the new
constitution.
Yeah.
And I'm running with Martha.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I met Amos Wako there and whatever.
In Martha's party, is that what you're saying?
I was running with Martha.
Kenya?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Governor?
No, senator. So governor, what happened? I didn't have a degree.
Okay.
So then they were like, degree manenos, and then Mr. Honorable Mungatana comes and looks at me and he says, Senator, what's your position? So, Senator it is. So let's hit the ground. So we hit the ground. So the problem with that is that the absence, I mean, of course I don't have this pool of money or anything. I mean, I'm going by faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm thinking, Moses wants to liberate his people and what. I mean, really, why not?
Yeah.
And this could help me serve my people and open opportunities for me. And why not?
Okay.
So the problem is absence. Your business, you need to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yourself. Yeah.
So the business is hurting?
The business begins to hurt. And of course, nobody can run your business the way you can run it yourself.
Absolutely.
So when I finish, and of course, wake up in the morning, and of course, it didn't go how I wanted. Things were going very well until the money started being poured. So I come back home, and now is when my house of cards starts tumbling.
To crumble.
Wow. Down. Now I'm beginning to sink and I'm beginning to suffocate. And I need to breathe. And my friend says to me, and I'm like, I need to get out of this town. I can't manage the cost anymore. Things are just beginning to become. And then, of course, when you're working, it's banks and whatever and all of those facilities. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I need to get out and just get some quiet and peace. And of course, by this time, people have left you. They started leaving when your husband died because, first of all, you're not hanging out with married women or whatever because, you're going to steal their husbands.
Yeah, that's another.
So they've gone. Yeah. Now politics, people are hanging with you thinking, we're seeing you in prominent places. Maybe. Now, maybe. No, maybe not. So it becomes quiet and lonely. You're broke.
A bad place to be.
Very, I thought I'd die. It was so dark. Now is when it's hitting me, and I'm like, so I'm looking at the towns. I grew up in Eldoret. At some point, my dad worked in Eldoret, and I'm like, LD, and I'm like, Kisumu. I'm like, yeah, Kisumu works because I'm looking for a school at least the kids can go. And I'm looking, Kisumu is good because now I'm nearer home. So I packed my bags.
And your kids?
And I packed my children's.
How old was Ella at this time?
Ella is 13.
Okay.
Kimmy, how old are you?
8, 9.
8, 9.
9.
And you're 6.
6. So your lives also change because now you're being pulled out of school.
Absolutely.
You're now heading to the village.
Yeah.
Talk us through that.
It was very interesting because now I could see that things are changing. You know, you're living in this kind of house and then you move to this kind of house, and it was so upset. I remember my sister was so upset. Why is this house so small? It's so small, you know, because now we're not used to this. You know, when my mom was doing politics, I mean, it was okay. Like, we never knew what money really is. Like, you go to school, eat, drink, sleep. That's your life. Yeah. And now we are moving to different houses.
Downsizing.
Absolutely. And it's different. You go to school. For me, I was bullied for like 4.5 years.
In Kisumu?
Yes.
Why?
My friends used to say, or the people used to tell me, when you came here, you took my position as head girl. Or you took this position as, because immediately I went, the next term I was a prefect, the next term I was the head girl, the next I was like many different positions. And so you're like, who do you think you are? Let us show you.
Yeah, so, the girl from Nairobi.
No, in Kisumu.
Yeah, they're saying the girl from Nairobi.
Oh yeah, the girl from Nairobi with her accentish voice. Who does she think she is? So it was difficult.
Were you speaking the local dialect?
No.
That's another part.
But they didn't know it either.
Oh, they didn't?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, they didn't know it. And so it was difficult in that sense, seeing things, you know, downsize and stuff like that. And now it's like, okay, what's really happening? Now you move from, you know, a 2-story, you move to an apartment, you move to what, and you're like, oh, this is happening rapidly. Okay. And then there's that transition where now we move from the Catholic Church to the Baptist Church. So, yeah, then that comes along as well.
So a lot of transition.
A lot.
In a short time.
Yeah, a lot.
Lety, how was that for you, the moving from Nairobi to Kisumu?
I think for me, because I was 6, it didn't really impact me as much as it did Kimi and Ella. I remember when they used to complain, like, Mama really nice stuff. I'm like, guys, let's go try a new life. I was 6 and I was just like, there's nothing, I haven't clung on to anything while in Nairobi. So I'm ready to go. If my mom says we're going to London, we go to London. So I think I was my mom's shadow. So I didn't think I really had a problem with it until you know, you're seeing things downsize. That's when you start to realize, like, and you're really young, and then that's when you start to internalize, like, wow, okay, life is changing. Because moving to Kisumu, I didn't really realize life was changing. It was more so just change of environment, but not change of circumstance. Yeah. So then when you see things slowly start to downsize, and you're thinking, wow, like, from being so privileged to grow up knowing, like, you know, you don't feel like you lacked anything, to now a point where you're just like, wow, this is real. That's when it started to, like, hit. Yeah.
Mom, you've brought up some lovely kids.
Oh, thank you.
I know you said there was a change. I don't want to say in religion, but of faith. Yeah. How did that all impact your life?
That was, so it's 2016 December, and a friend of mine who we were in the Catholic Manenos Mstari wa Mbele, the Pharisee of the Pharisees, and the Benjamin, that one concerning everything, concerning the law, you know, faultless and all of that. So Paul, Philippians chapter 3, that's me as far as the Catholic faith is concerned. You know, every morning mass and all of that. And the kids, of course, it's a system thing, so everything is organized and orderly, and you know what's happening. And then she calls me and she says, first of all, she comes to visit. And by this time, we are struggling. You know, it's Christmas in a few days and we don't even have food. So, you know, a story for another day, but she's like, I'm in town, I'm in Kakamega and I want to come and see you guys. So she comes loaded with the whole of Nakumat. And we're like, whoa, you mean we can actually have Christmas?
Wow.
Oh, and a lovely, lovely, lovely soul. So anyway, so she does her thing, she finishes and she goes back. She gives us a treat that day and then she goes back to Nairobi. And so she calls me on the 26th. I've come from the village, we had a memorial for my dad. So I come back and then she calls me and she says, you know what, Faith, there's something I want to tell you. The Lord has been speaking to me about you. By now I know she's already left the faith, so she's born again and she's left. So she said, the Lord has been asking.
She was also Catholic.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm Sari Wambele before, we went to church together, did all manner of things together, pilgrimages and all of them. But so she says, the Lord has been speaking to me about something. And the Lord has asked me to speak to you and tell you that He'd like you to give your life to Him, you and your kids. And He has amazing things in store for you and your family. You will believe it.
Yeah.
Hey, that hit me. And I'm thinking, because you're thinking Catholic and this is politically correct, so what are you telling me? What are you really saying? So we didn't speak. And she sent me some verses. She says, these are scriptures, when you get time, just, think about it and what. And of course, the Holy Spirit has already started doing His work. So I start sitting and contemplating, and I call another friend of mine who's Catholic, and again, and I'm like, guess what? So and so called me and told me, blah blah blah. A lot of foolishness, and so she's like, how could she? And so, but, anyways, meanwhile the work has begun. So slowly by slowly, I start reading. So I go and read. I sat down with Exodus, chapter 20. This is now me. This is my revelation, and the Lord is like, thou shalt not worship any other gods. You shall not have any idols or images. And I'm like, Selah.
Yeah.
What are idols? What are images? What are what? So I start getting convicted. The Holy Spirit is convicting me. Now this is now my life. Now this is my space. I am day and night. That's all I'm hearing. I packed all the paraphernalia. Those things, the rosaries and everything, they had to go. They absolutely had to go. So of course the kids, they are used to, especially Ella. Ella really struggled.
Yeah.
You all struggle, okay. Yeah. So that's the salvation. So I started the journey, and so now the next thing is, of course, now you have to leave this church.
Yeah.
When I tell somebody and another one, they ask me, so do you have to leave the church? I'm like, no, I can't be in that environment.
Yeah.
I can't. Even the priests are asking, oh, you're not coming anymore. What's going on? Because we're going to a small community of church. They go like, what's going on? And I'm like, I can't do this. Anyway, so slowly by slowly, I start the journey. I started going to a fast. So the next thing is, where do we find a church? I don't want to go into this big church and what. I just go like, so where can I find a place where I can go? Because now I'm walking, I'm fasting, I'm walking with the relocation and. So a friend of mine calls me one time. In fact, Kimmy had gone this journey again. Even he's had some similar stories. So he goes, I call him and I'm like, hey, William, this is where I'm at. And in fact, he recommends a book, What Am I Really Here For, Rick Warren. I had that book in my store, but I had never read it. So I started reading it and I'm like, So that's at the back of my mind. And then he says, I know this small church. I can take you. It's Nairobi Chapel, but they have a Trinity Chapel here, Trinity whatever. So I can take you. He came. Truly, he took us, and we went, and it was a very different setup.
Wow.
But how are you guys feeling?
Yeah. How did you guys? How did you fit into all this? Here's mommy. She's painted a picture of this is what our faith looks like.
Yeah.
Then she comes one day and she says, "We're done with this one. Let's try this new one." How did that settle for you guys?
I mean, it was different, not praying to Saint Joseph, not asking Saint Joseph to intercede for me.
Yeah. You were used to doing that, what, on a daily? On a daily, you were used to.
We each had our saints. Now, I was used to my saint,
That was Saint Joseph.
My mom's was Saint Joseph, but once in a while I can borrow Joseph.
Okay.
Where are my saints now?
Yeah.
And so my mom stopped going to the Catholic church, but it was opposite the house. So we just work with my sisters because we used to do the readings at church. We used to do the
You guys were involved. You were all in.
I was an altar girl.
What?
Yeah, I used to, at one point I was an altar girl. I used to serve there with the priest.
Yeah.
So I always had an interest for the things of God, but then I didn't understand who he was. I didn't know how to read my Bible. I didn't even know what Romans was, you know. I used to read the Missal, you know, my Sunday readings, but not the Bible.
Yeah.
So now when we leave the church and now we're going to this Baptist, I'm looking at everybody taking communion and I'm like, you kids, you've not even gone for catechism.
You're being judgmental now.
Yeah, I was like, who allowed you? Do you know what we've had to go through for 13 years and you're here taking communion? Who are you?
My goodness.
You know, and then you see they're singing for long. I'm like, nah, you guys are so disorderly. And, you know, they're preaching and I'm like, what are you talking about? Huh?
This is so funny. Lety, did you think your mom had lost it at this point?
Oh, I remember telling my sisters, like, we are going to church, like, Ella, I think Ella would tell us, like, guys, let's wake up in the morning. We know mommy is not going to church. We are going to church. We used to walk, we used to go. The priest asked us, where's your mom? Oh, yeah, she's not feeling well, but we're here today. So it's, because, you know, you've grown up, you've received your first Holy Communion, you've gone for classes every Saturday, you know how to read, you know, the rosary back and forth, you know, also the Catholic churches run with the Roman Missal, so it's every single Sunday. So you know what March fast is going to be like this year, next year, and the 10 years to come.
Yeah.
So now moving to the Baptist, it's a huge change, and it's also because you're in your mind, you know, it's like your mom has changed, but you haven't changed. So she's met Christ. Me, I'm still in the Catholic church, so it's you're seeing these people. I remember one of my first thoughts is, why are they singing so loudly? Like, the music is so loud, because I was used to that. Open your books and read what the choir open. So you're wondering, why is everyone talking? What are they talking about? Who is Hebrews? Because I remember as for me specifically, is growing up, you don't, we never used to I never used to read the Bible. So I used to read whatever readings were in store for the day. So I never ever once read the Bible. So you're hearing these books and you're like, what? You're hearing these, and it's all so different. It's a huge change, and it's obviously difficult to adapt. And like Kimmy said, you're looking around and you're like, who are you to take your Holy Communion? As we waited all like 13 years to be
It's a privilege.
So it's a big change.
So here comes this shaking. Mom is looking like she's lost it. You guys are trying to figure out, you know, what's 100%. Going on. What begins to change in your lives? Like, do you feel anything visible? Like, is there anything that you'd say, all right, you know, there might be something mom is onto?
Yeah, we get auctioned.
You get auctioned. Wow, that's the first thing. Okay.
Yeah, the auctioneers, we were friends. We were like, hey, what's up? They come take
you
the
knew
things.
Each other.
Yeah, we've known each other. We've known each other. They're homies.
And you guys are laughing about this. This is so cool. I can't believe this.
It's so funny because when you see them, you're like, hi, how can I help you today?
Yeah.
Oh, you're back. How was Christmas?
Let me carry it for you. Don't worry about it.
Unataka chai? Yeah. So.
What? So, mom, you get auctioned?
Yeah, we get auctioned. That year, so things are happening. So happening. We get auctioned because now I'm not working. So remember now this shop is closed. So I go to Kisumu also with the mindset that we are devolved. I can now look at the ground and see what to do. Yeah. So I'm looking for work. I want to work. I'm looking for work. So I want to get pre-qualified. First of all, in Kisumu, I'm told you're not your tribe. You're not from here. So
and then not politically correct.
Incorrect that. Yeah. So you need to give us bribes to to pre-qualify you. And I'm thinking, that's the money I'm looking for. And there are no guarantees. So I'm thinking, so I try all manner of things and I get people who would introduce me. But so nothing was working. No money, nothing is coming. It's dry. So we get auctioned. And then somebody owes me some money, but they will not talk to me. They switched off the phone up until today. They will not pay. So that's the money that I thought would come, but nothing to do. But anyway, so we get auctioned. Of course, getting auctioned means you're homeless. We almost slept in the streets. Yeah. Almost slept in the streets. Thank God for my sister. She was married to a guy who was working, a gentleman who works in Kisumu. And she's like, she was in Nairobi at the moment. She says, you guys, why don't you move in to my house with my husband, and then in the meantime. And he was so gracious. So he took us in. Yeah. We shared the house with him.
But the setup was quite different because that's not what we are used to. So me, my mom, and my sister used to sleep in the same room. And then my older sister used to sleep in the other room simply because she was a candidate, so she needed her space. If you're working in the night,
study, yeah.
Absolutely, and so that's how it was. But then you asked a question: how did that affect us? Like the shift with the whole faith thing. For me, my transformation started in 2018, and I remember we were doing like a crossover service at our neighbor, who is also an uncle, a good friend, great family friends, and. So the church had gathered at his home, and so the pastor was going around. By this time, I love going to Sunday school. Every time I'm like, "Woo, let's go read the Bible."
At the Baptist church.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, they were talking about some interesting. I'm like, "What works on water? What?" Yeah. So it's really interesting. Yeah. I'm like, "Wow, this Jesus guy is quite cool," you know. So every Sunday, I'm looking forward to going to church. I want to read my Bible. I'm like, so. So 2018 is crossover service, and so they go around and they say, "What's your New Year's resolution?" When they get to me, I stand up and I say, "I want to be a pastor," and they're excited.
Everyone's
they're clapping. They're like, "Wow!"
Why would you want that?
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Wow, that's amazing." Yeah, she wants to be a pastor. So the 2nd of January in 2019, I go to the internet and say, "How to be a pastor, how to write a sermon." Step 1. Open your Bible.
Wow.
I have the notes to date.
Wow.
And that year, so by this time I haven't given my life to Christ. You know, and Joel Esteen is praying salvation, TD Jakes, everybody, I'm there. Yes, amen, receive so Jesus. No, I was still walking on my mother's faith, not my own.
Yeah.
And so 2019, that year, the pastor at church, he didn't know I was 14 at the time. I don't usually look my age, so he didn't know I was 14. He said, Kimmy, when are you preaching? Because I had said I wanted to be a pastor. He said, "I'm waiting for you to preach." I said, "You let me know." He said, "Okay, now I'm going for my sabbatical. This time I'm not going to be preaching for this couple of weeks. So this is your date. You're preaching on this day."
Wow.
Yeah. And I was
you
like,
are all ready. You are like,
hey, I said,
wait.
"This is my moment."
Yeah. You're going to shine.
Absolutely, for the Lord. By this time, I really like Jesus. I don't really know him so much, but I would read Titus, I'd read many books, and I'd be like, "Mom, I finished Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews."
Done.
And I thought that, once you read the book once, you're graduated.
Yeah. It's
like, I'm a scholar.
Yeah. It's a novel.
Really, I thought, now I'm a scholar, no one can take this from me. I know the whole Bible. What can you tell me? Yeah, so I was really excited. And so it's the 27th of October, and I'm now really seeking the Lord. I'm like, "You have to speak to me." I'm speaking to elders of the church. These guys are like 58, 60.
and how old are you?
I'm 14. What am I going to tell them? So I'm like, "Lord, you need to speak to me." So I'm up in the night. I'm walking up and down. I'm like, "Lord, speak to me, speak to me." And then he gives me a message. I remember the title was "The Package of Your Blessing." And I remember that Sunday going to church, and I preached the sermon, and I remember by the end of that sermon, everybody, including the elders, was weeping.
What?
Everyone, including the elders of the church, they were all crying.
The packet of
the
your
package of your blessing.
Package of your blessing.
Yeah, they were all crying. I remember some came to bring money at the apostles' feet.
You are so funny. What?
Yeah.
So at 14?
Yeah, I remember the one thing that really shocked me was this man who came to me. He's old. He should have been like 35. He's talking to this 14-year-old girl.
35 is so... sips water. I just turned 36.
He's older. He's older than me. He comes to me and he said, do you know something? None of them knew I was 14. I didn't even look like it. So, "Do you know something? I've been praying to the Lord for me to move from Mombasa to Nairobi. But today I've received the confirmation from the Lord when you preach that message. I'm moving." I said, "Jesus, somebody's moving because of this man." So there's no way. What if he doesn't find a house in Nairobi? And I'm like, "Are you banking your life on that message? You better be serious."
And you're the preacher.
And I'm the preacher.
I don't know about
that. So he's like, "Where's your number? Let me send you something." So I was like, "Oh, sure, send something small." And so he does, and he moves. I think he moves. But he was so, like, "Yes, the Lord has spoken to me." And I'm like, "Really?"
The package of your blessing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You need to minister that soon.
I can send it to
I need
you,
to hear
actually.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What? Mom, what were you thinking? You're like, this little girl, I brought her up in the Catholic Church. Here she is, she's ministering. Everyone's on the floor crying.
And she's ministering. Even I was on the floor. I mean, I was on
before I started. She
My
was
name is
crying. My name is Kimmy. I'm like, Mom. And she's sitting at the front. I'm like, I can't compose myself
at
with
the
you.
introduction.
Yeah.
But I can imagine her emotions with everything that's happened
yeah.
up till this point. I agree. I would be weeping if I was Mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So she ministers. You guys are so... Okay, there's so much to unpack. But look, there's somewhere I want us to get to.
Okay.
Things have happened so much in such a short time. You started to see miracles happening in your life.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about a few of those miracles?
So, let's go to COVID. Let's go to 2020. I want us to move now to Nairobi.
Yes.
Is there anything that I'm leaving? Is there a miracle there in between that I'm leaving? You're the cast.
We send notes.
You're part of the cast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I can tell you that God has been so amazing. So first of all, that house, my brother-in-law moves out and he leaves us in the house. So as it happens, it's near a school. So the kids walk to school. And then they break for lunch, they come home, they change into their sports gears, they go back and then they come. So that's a miracle already. So now, it's our space. One day somebody wants to come and evict us out of the house again. I mean, the struggle was real. This financial struggle it went on and on and on and on and on. So fast forward, I apply for a job, I get a job. I say, okay, let me go back into employment, formal employment. I get a job, but it's out of town. Mm-hmm. So I have to go on Sunday and then come back on Friday night or Saturday morning. It was a far off distance. So I have to leave Ella with the children. Ella is a candidate, so they're on their. She's not even 18, so they're on their own. But
for the entire week.
For the whole week, yeah, for months. So I was there for 6 months. So the weekly they were by themselves.
Wow. Okay.
So I just trusted them in the care of the Lord, and I went because at least I have to make some money so that I'm paying rent or doing. It was not even because I had to rent another house over there. It was a difficult life, but I'm like, but then I go and then some people give their lives to Christ, and I'm like, God, if you send me here just for one soul, that's enough for me.
Now you've even gone into evangelism.
Oh, now by the time even I'm going there, actually, I'm now into evangelism. I'm now into that. So that now becomes now my passion. I'm loving seeing people giving their lives to Christ. Yeah. Oh, I live for that.
So you get a job.
So I get a job, I go, and then 6 months later, I'm not comfortable. That job it's a hard job, first of all. It's taking everything, my knees are hurting, and I'm just like, no, this is not how it's supposed to be. So I leave March, I resign. The kids have to stay at home for like 7.
What was the job you were doing?
It was just an administration, it was an NGO, so I was just doing admin. I was doing office admin.
Okay.
I'm an administrator like that.
Okay.
But it wasn't flying.
Okay.
So I come back home. Fast forward, that's 2019 now, so I have to get surgery. I'm having fibroids and I'm bleeding so I have to get surgery. So I get surgery, that's in July.
In Kisumu?
In Kisumu. Mm-hmm. So after I get that surgery, on 15th of December, we have a church Christmas party. Ella has been in Nairobi because she was applying. Now I'm looking at her going to college because she's not finished. Yeah. So she needs to go to university or whatever it is. I'm like, Ella, where do you want to go to college? She's not saying. I'm like, I don't want you in this country. You have to get out of here. I need you to get out because you can't be here. You need to go out. But how is she going to go out? I have no idea. So I speak to my sister-in-law. Now we are in a good place. I speak to my sister-in-law. She lives in the States, and I'm like, this is what I'd like for Ella. And then she recommends and says the best approach is to come to a community college. Okay. So a community college is cheaper, and then the classes are smaller, and she'll be more whatever. And then as she graduates, then there are more opportunities. She could get a scholarship or whatever. Correct. So we are like, okay, community college it is. So we start doing the application. So the application means that she needs to get TOEFL and whatever. SATs. So I'm like, okay, Kisumu they're not doing it, so you come to Nairobi. So she comes to Nairobi for a few weeks. She does that, and then she comes back to Kisumu on that week of the 15th of December. So church function, youth are doing the serving and whatever. So we go to church, and we finish, and then we go to this place, and we are having the luncheon at the table where now the lunch is being prepared. The youth are doing it. The Lord just brings me to sit around. The women are doing cooking and whatever, but I sit in a spot. Ella is arranging. The table is draped. There's the warmers are getting set. It's a buffet being set. The next thing I hear,
Screams.
I'm burning, my leg is burning, I'm burning. That ethanol went on my child's trouser. Freddie lit whatever it was, and that fire went straight on my child's leg. And her leg caught fire.
Ella is now on fire.
She's burning. Yeah. It's 2 o'clock. All I'm seeing is blue flames.
Yeah.
And no, the flames were colorless.
They were colorless.
They were colorless.
Because it's the sun.
Yeah.
But where I was sitting,
Yeah.
I heard someone scream a deadly scream.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I started to pray where I was sitting. I said, Jesus, whoever's child that is, Jesus, please
You
save
had no
them.
idea it
Please.
was Ella?
No, had no
Oh
idea.
my goodness.
I said, please, Lord, please, that's someone in pain. That person is in pain. Please, Jesus, save them. Then I see two people standing in front of me and they begin to say, it's Ella. I almost lost my head. I began to run.
She
like,
left the gate.
you
She
think I was
ran
crazy.
out of the
I
compound.
began to run. Like I was running the road. If you wanted to find me, you'd have to keep up. I was running. I was like, there's no way. I can't bear it.
So what happened?
And I'm there. I had a pair of scissors because we were doing something for the crafts for the children the previous Sunday we had a children thing. I removed that scissor from my handbag. I don't know why. So I'm crying, Caesar. Somebody get me Caesar. The child is burning. The fire is just moving. So finally, Pastor Victor he handed me scissors. I cut the trouser, but by now, the skin is on fire. She's having 2 second-degree burns on her left leg.
And the other leg had a metal anklet, but it didn't catch.
It didn't catch that leg. It was
because
this
it
leg.
would have melted into her leg. Yeah.
So now the confusion and everything, and I'm thinking now. So in the car, this guy is so Kirui, he's so lovely. So he puts us in the car and Millie and comes into the car and we are moving and somebody pours water on her leg. Then it burns even more in terms of first aid. And anyway, off we go to the hospital. So they administered first aid, and that first aid, so she, they put, I think they put a bandage or whatever. I don't know what they did, but a gauze or something. And so I talked to the doctor. He was actually a congregant at the church, and he's like, are you able to go? If she wants to go home, if you can go home, just manage and then come back tomorrow or whatever. So we are like, fine. So we go home. My child has a burn on her leg. It's white.
Weeping.
She's crying.
Her body is in shock.
She's shaking like literally shaking.
So we go home. Now everything has changed again. And I'm like, we were just serving the Lord. So now I have to find how she's going to sleep and improvise something to cover her leg. So now it's a different dynamic. Pastor Don, that day, I cried. I don't even know if I'd cried like that for my husband. I could not sleep. I was in trauma for a long time. So the following morning, we wake up and it's beginning to get infected. So she's sitting, of course, people are coming and going. And so we are sitting outside and I'm seeing it's becoming green and it's getting infected. So I called the doctor. The doctor is like, bring her to hospital. So we go to hospital. She has to be admitted, obviously. So she's admitted. And so the doctor comes to look at her. So now our lives have changed. Now our life is hospital. For the 20 days that she was in hospital, one doctor comes and looks and says, this needs a skin graft.
No, initially they said if you would have come a few hours later, would have amputated the leg, would have cut it. Yeah. I remember even the doctor asking, because we were outside the hospital and we were crying. I love this guy. He said, why are you guys stressed? Why are you crying? And I was like, really?
Wow.
Why are we stressed?
Wow.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
So there is a child and I've told you, the whole time, we are struggling, we don't even have money, and I'm like, it's not one thing anyway. So, and then the following day I go and I find the doctor who was doing the dance, because we went in the morning. No, actually in the morning we used to send over whatever she needed, and then in the evening, by 11 o'clock, we packed all our things and then we went and we just hung out at the hospital for the whole time, came back home like at about midnight when she had gone to bed. So one morning, before we came, a doctor was doing the rounds, looked at her and decided, you have to get a skin graft. He was telling this to the child directly. So my anger was you should have talked to me first. You don't say that in the hearing of the
Absolutely.
child. So now this just throws another spanner into the works.
Fast forward,
Yeah.
Ella's leg is saved. She recovers. She's already applied for the school.
She applied for the school. So COVID. So we go home.
Yeah.
She turns 19 on January 19th of that, whatever. Remember, I'm recovering from surgery.
Yes.
She's had surgery. Fast forward, March 15th, the world closes down. Is it March or April?
Yeah, COVID.
COVID. So of course, America is closed, everywhere is closed. So
Yeah.
college, everything is cut off. So COVID, we go August. So this same friend of mine who introduced me to the Lord, she calls and says, it's lockdown now, because now everything is online. I'm thinking, because now she was working out of the country. She says, now I'm home for the lockdown. I'm thinking, instead of struggling, why don't you guys come to Nairobi, and then we can stay together and see what happens in the next
Because she
few
knows
weeks.
you're struggling
Cause
also.
because you guys are struggling, and come, I've got a bit of space. So we talk about it. Sorry?
Yeah, we do talk about it, and then we we moved to Nairobi, and we are staying with her for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then we move out at a particular point, but now the concern is school, because you have moved from a school. I was a candidate at that time, and I was sitting for my IGCSE, so I was like, okay, what happens to me now? I had plans. I had real plans. And now the Lord throws me off the boat. My sister ends up going to university in the
No,
US.
no, you won't jump it like that.
Right,
So let me let me bring
you're
it.
not jumping.
So we leave.
jumped.
We leave her house in November.
Yeah.
She has now things are opening up. She's going back to
So
work.
you moved in March?
No. We moved August.
In August.
August.
Okay.
Yeah, August. So we moved in
Okay.
but we came to Nairobi in September.
Okay.
So we stay with her for September, October, November. Now life looks like it's opening up a little bit, or whatever. Because she gets a recall, she goes back to work.
Okay.
So we find a place.
Okay.
We move in. Now this is November, so December. So now the applications now they have revived. Everything has reopened, and now we apply for. So she gets admitted to that community college where my sister-in-law lives.
Okay.
And she gets her F1.
Okay.
She gets her F1. And then now she has to go for visa.
Okay.
She goes for visa that morning. I'm taking these ones for interview at another school.
Okay.
Calls and says, Mom, I got the visa.
Wow.
In 15 minutes, she got in. Whoever was interviewing her was like, go and study hard. Before she got there, she had no. Then she got a yes.
Wow.
No statements, borrowed everything.
And it's a community college.
And it's a community college.
Wow.
And
That's a miracle. That is a miracle.
And she gets a yes, 5 years of course stamped, and the lady's like, whoever was interviewing says, you go and work hard.
Okay.
So number one, where is the ticket going to come from?
Wow.
But that's a story for another day. So we go, these ones are interviewed, and then they get accepted at the school in Nairobi West, somewhere there.
Okay.
And so we come back, and now the thing is, now we start getting Ella ready for school. So my sister-in-law is like, please let her come with the full fees.
Okay.
For the first semester, at least
Yeah.
$6,000. Let her
Wow.
come with the full fees, a banker's check. Anyway, so we get registered in class, and that needs like $200 and something. So she can register, and then she can pay the rest of the fees after like a few weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I am her with $50 and a broken suitcase I'll never forget. And I'm like, my child. I become Moses' mother.
Have you gotten a ticket?
We are looking for a ticket. A ticket is coming. If she can get one way, we're good to go. So I'm
That's
talking to a
it,
few
yeah.
people. The ticket is coming.
Yeah.
So that we get the ticket.
Yeah.
Thanks to a very good friend of my late husband's, and I put her in a Moses basket.
And tell her,
Tell
God
her.
bless you.
God bless you.
Off to America.
Off to America.
How old is Ella at this time?
20.
19. It's still 2020. That's 2020. She's still 19.
19.
That's the year now she's gotten out of hospital. So you're mwaka, she's 19.
She's gone.
Off.
You guys are assimilating to the new school?
Yeah.
No.
Not yet.
We haven't gone to school.
Okay.
So January is when now we go. So now we are still online with their old school in
Yes.
Kisumu.
Yes.
So January, yeah, you're still in general.
Yeah.
So in Jan, all systems close. Children have to go back to physical school.
Yeah.
This school that we had interviewed, we can't afford it.
Yeah.
They want a laptop already, come prepared in uniform, and come with what?
At Nairobi West. Okay.
Can't make it.
So is it Ella you're going to try and take care of, or is it this one's?
Or the house.
Or the house?
Anyway, long and short, we get to a cheaper school, and a miracle happens. We go, and the principal of that school is a friend of their former deputy principal in Kisumu.
In Kisumu?
Yes.
Wow.
So he makes it easier for us
Yes.
in that he says, oh, I mean, if that's your whoever it is, so I mean, so we go in with a bit of deposit, I put, and then they go to school.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, go on, you're going to say something.
No, I want to get to the cracks of the
We are
matter.
going, that's where I'm going. Meanwhile, sorry, you want to say something? Meanwhile, I'm like, children, going forward, I cannot pay your school fees. So what we need to do, we need to apply for scholarships. Yes, we need to apply for scholarships because if it's going to be sustainable, we can't work like this.
Yeah.
So Kimmy, you are going to apply for UWC, United World Colleges, and Beacon scholarship. So she applies. Lety, you're going to apply to ISK for a scholarship.
What happened? So who applied first, or you were both
Applied
applying?
together.
It was about the same time.
You applied at the same time. What happened?
So for me, I applied. I had wanted to go to Brookhouse to do my A-levels. So I was like,
You're such a high shooter. You didn't make it into Nairobi West, the school you wanted to go to. So you're in this other school,
Yeah.
but your focus is Brookhouse.
I'm like, I can't do this life. I need to go to Brookhouse, Then from there we can see, what to do.
Okay.
So I applied to this Beacon Scholars. I had already applied, so I'd already got into St. Andrews, but I didn't go because they wanted like some big money.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'll just wait for my time. It was heartbreaking, but now, okay, so I applied to UWC because my mom says you have to apply. I was like, really? So I just sent in the application, 1 hour, 2 hours, finish the application, send it in. And they call me. But before that, it was that 2021?
Yeah, that's this 2021.
2021 January, I was doing a 21-day fast. It was the first time I was fasting. I was like, Lord, we can do this.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this fast. And on one of the days of the fast, my mom sends me a preaching by Apostle Sermon. And I'm like, I've never seen, a title Apostle. So I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
What's
You're
this
used
title?
to Saint Joseph.
That's the language.
Yeah.
So I see Apostle, he's preaching, and the sermon, his life is spiritual. And then he says something. He says about 90 days, something is going to happen. I want you to mark 90 days. I said, Jesus, if this be a man of God, 90 days, I marked it on my calendar. I said, gorgeous, 20. I think it was about 25th of April. 29th. It was about 29th. It was 29th of April.
That's my wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, that 29th of April, I'm sitting for an English paper.
Final exams.
Yeah, my final English language paper. And as I'm in the exam room, the prompt of the question is write about a journey you are going to, you can imagine the journey. Now, by this time, I already had a blog because I was like writing and stuff like that. And so I was used to writing. Writing was like, I can do this. Yeah. So I write this story. I have a brother, I have a dad, I have a mom, and it's me. Unusual because two of those characters don't exist. And in the story, we are going to South Africa. But on the journey to South Africa, there's a problem with the engine and we have to stop in Swaziland. I just said Swaziland.
Yeah.
And then while we're in Swaziland, the president announces a lockdown. And so the president announces a lockdown. You see, they have a king, but you see, that's how much I didn't know about this place. Then he announces a lockdown and then we are stuck in the country and we only leave to South Africa much, much later on. An hour later, I go home. Remember, this is the date I had marked.
Yeah.
This is the story I've written. I was so disappointed. I was like, what in the world did I just write?
Yeah.
An hour later, I'm in my room. My mom comes in and says, you've been nominated to go to Swaziland.
What?
Yeah. You've been nominated. I didn't respond. She was looking at me. I was looking at her. I was like, okay, thanks. And she left my room and I said, Jesus.
And this is the 29th now?
Yes. It's that day that I had marked. I said, Jesus, what are you doing?
So you wrote about going to Swaziland, and then she walks in the same day and says, You've been nominated.
Yeah.
Out of what? Where was the nomination coming from? Was this from the application she had
Yes,
made?
from the UWC, from the United World
Wow.
Colleges. So she was nominated to go and do her IB, to study her IB from 5 and 6 in Eswatini, in the school in Eswatini, in the UWC school in Eswatini.
Yeah, who goes to Eswatini?
Who even?
Yeah.
Who even?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So I know by this time, at this moment, I know God is sending me on a mission. I knew it by the Spirit of God. I knew. I'm not going there.
For just?
No. I was so sure.
Kimmy, you're now in Eswatini.
Yes.
Right
This
now.
is on a full scholarship.
Yeah.
This is on a full scholarship.
Yeah.
So right now, how long has it been?
No, I graduated last year in November.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was 2 years.
My goodness.
It was 2 years. And I arrived in the place and I can tell that the spiritual atmosphere here is different. The word I would say is demonic.
Yeah.
And I said, Lord, what is going on here? And I remember the spiritual leader on campus, because he was running like the Youth Christian Fellowship. I went to him and I was weeping. I said, sir, you need to understand, I'm not here to do school. God has sent me here for work.
Who does that? A 14-year-old preacher.
I was,
Yeah.
by the time I think I was 16, I was 17. And I was like, you need to understand, I'm not here to do work. I'm not here for schoolwork. That's the cover up. God sent me here for work. You need to know that. And so as the days go by, the months go by, God would give me dreams. And he would show me in the dreams the kind of atmosphere and the principalities that were ruling the place.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but that's what he did.
For 2 years, you were there on
2
assignment.
years. For 2 years, I was there on assignment. And by the time I arrived, I remember one person telling me, nobody comes here Christian and leaves Christian. And I went back to the Lord and I said, I shall not be a statistic. That's not my story. And I remember, because of all that was happening with the students, I stood in my room and I said, devil, before you touch anyone here, come for me first.
You were that bold?
Oh,
yeah.
I don't even know where the boldness came from. I said, if you're looking for somebody, look for me first.
Let's go to your story. What happened to you?
No, obviously now both my mom and Kimmy have told me apply to ISK, and you're obviously thinking, because I have an auntie who had been at ISK for a really long time, and she gave me the statistics like, oh yeah, last year there were 600 applicants, only 2 get it. So you're thinking like, what are the odds that out of all of these people that I would be the one who would get it? But as God would have it, it was about a 5-month process. I got the scholarship, and
Wait, why do you guys jump such important things? I don't understand. You're saying it's so 600 people apply and they have spaces for only 2.
Yes.
Okay, so ISK do give scholarships to people. Okay, so there's a program they run. Is it an annual program? Or annual program. So you apply. How many people had applied then that year?
I'm not too sure. I wasn't told how many, but it wasn't as many as the previous year, but I think it was about 200 if I'm not.
Okay.
Because of COVID and all the lockdown,
Oh, yeah,
so it
absolutely.
didn't really go out, but they advertise it all over the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you apply and they call you.
And they call me, so there's 3 different stages. So the first stage is you send out your application. The second stage is they call you back for a written interview. So you just do like a math and English paper. So by the time I think it's a written interview, there's about, I'm guessing, 15 people who are called back. So my mom gets a call. They say Lety has been told to come back for the written interview. So I go, I do the written interview. They tell us we'll get back to you in probably a month or so, or a couple of weeks, and then you'll be called for a written interview. No, a spoken interview. By the time you're being called for the spoken interview, you're 6 applicants. So you've narrowed down from almost 200 applicants to now 6 people. So obviously they call my mom. They're like, Lety has been called to make it to the spoken. It has gotten to the place, the point of the spoken interview. And obviously at this point you're thinking like, God, this is enough. Like, to have come from, obviously I'm feeling, you in the process of going for the written interview, I met these other applicants, and I'm like, all of these people, they're talking about their grades and everything, and I was like, Lord, I'm the least of the least. Like, even if I make it to the spoken interview point, then that's enough for me. So he called, then I'm called back for the spoken interview, and I remember we got there really early, and I go in and I speak to them, and they tell us that we should be back. So this is on a Monday. They tell us we'll call you back in 2 weeks to let you know. So I remember one Thursday, I come back home and my mom tells me come and see, and it's on her computer screen and it's saying that Lety has gotten a scholarship, and they told me they called me back in 2 weeks, and this was 2 days later. And you're just like, it just doesn't make sense, and you're obviously thinking now, here's this opportunity, you know, you prayed for this opportunity, it's been like a 5-month process, but here it is, and it really was a God moment.
So that morning, I am just minding my business. It's May 20. I remember dates, and I get this phone call from ISK, and it's a principal, and he calls and he's like, "Oh, is this so and so?" And I say, "Yes." And he's like, "Do you have a minute?" I say, "Yeah, absolutely." And he says, "I'm really honored and privileged to be able to be the one to communicate to you and tell you that Lety has won this scholarship. It's going to run for 3 years. That's basically her high school finish, IB, and it's a huge." ISK fees per year is 5 million.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I know. I don't know if the audience know.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's not a small feat. That's a miracle.
Can you imagine?
3 years, full ride, full scholarship.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel, Lety?
I mean, I was in shock. I was in a lot of shock because, you know, I didn't expect to be chosen. So, but I think more than anything, it made me feel grateful. And I think the testimony in this moment was God. I started off in Nairobi. God took me away, and you know, when I was in Nairobi, went to big schools and everything. But while I was in that big school, I didn't know the value, and I didn't even know Christ and everything. So it changed my whole life to bring me to a point where when He gave me this opportunity, and He put me back when He put me even in a bigger place than where He took me from. I know I'm grateful for the small things, you know. Before, if He had given me that opportunity, like even 2 years earlier, we wouldn't have met the same thing. So it really just showed me like the whole story was being molded and being crafted.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Ella then. What's her journey?
So she's at that community college. She's going on. Of course, you can imagine the struggle. Anna school fees, nanini, but. So along the way, somewhere now she starts applying for these little scholarships here and there. But then, you know, the Lord starts covering her scholarships. Now the final year, the second year. In fact, one day I remember we were praying on July the 2nd on that. I think 2021 still. And one evening her fees is due, and we are here. All we could do was pray, and I'm thinking, so it's $4,000 balance, and we are praying, and she's called, and I'm like, okay. Just go and check your balance. So my phone is ringing. So I think Lety's like, "Mom, take your phone." So I find my phone, and she's like, Mom, take your call. So I call her, and she goes like, "Mom, you won't believe it. I went to check my balance, and I found it's 0.
Okay.
So anyway, so she goes, she finishes, she graduates. Again, miracle after miracle after miracle. We don't have time. Time would fail us to whatever. So she graduates last year.
From the community college? From
the community college with a 4.0 GPA, graduates on top of her class. Now she has favor with everybody in that school and everybody. So now it's time to graduate. But then the challenge is that, where is she going? And her visa is coming up. So it's a very gray area. So that's April. She graduates in April. So April, I have a bathroom fall. I sleep in the bathroom, I tear my meniscus, so I'm due for surgery. I go in and have the surgery, full surgery. I'm in hospital for a week, crutched and all, so I come back home, and I'm lying there, and so now it's time when we have to make a decision whether to get Ella out of the States, or what do we do? Because all her friends have matriculated and done all that, so now she's all the ones they've said no, most of them have said no. So she's on wait list for Princeton and Amherst. So I'm lying in bed on 31st of May. It's a Wednesday, and I wake up in the morning and I'm praying and I'm just crying. And then in the evening, a friend of ours had gone to visit, that's another story again, but she was able to be there for her graduation. So at least, and I know that this girl today is leaving to come back home. Ella is going to be left alone. This is not the time for her to be left alone. And I'm like, God, please. So we pray with Lety because Kim is in school. So in the evening we meet, we pray, and then we go to bed. And as soon as we finish praying, I tell Lety, I said, God has told me, Gideon, that's what I was telling you, Gideon, Joshua, and Moses. There was a time when they were by themselves very scared, not knowing what to do. And I said, God, you visited those 3. I can't talk to my child today. You are there with her. Please, Lord,
Speak
to my child. I can't imagine what's going on in her life today. She's at a very bad place. Speak, Lord. I go to sleep. I put my phone on silent and then I sleep. So, I'm really in bed. I can't do much. Mom. Lety comes at night. Mom, Ella is calling you. I'm like, okay, so I pick up the phone. She goes, Mom, I'm going to Princeton.
I mean, you guys, your story there. I mean, they're out of this world. Princeton.
Princeton just called and I'm going to Princeton. The admissions officer called me and he's told me I'm going and I even have a full scholarship, Mom.
To Princeton.
Just I'm
the Princeton.
The Ivy Princeton.
Wow. Is there a day you guys live without a miracle?
Meanwhile, even as I've had this accident, surgery. But first of all, even to go and see a doctor, but surgery, and I'm like, Sasa surgery. But the miracle in this is that I call a cousin of mine, she works at NHIF, and she's like, Faith. So I'm like, which hospital? I'm looking at Kijabe, and she's like, I'm going to refer you to Kenyatta University Referral Hospital. We've just signed a package for that kind of an injury. We are testing the hospital and we are giving a comprehensive cover. So go and get checked. Go and see a doctor fulani. So I go and see the doctor. And then they give me the estimate of the whatever. So I send to her and she's like, okay, no problem. Let me call somebody. So later on I get a message from NHIF, approved for the full surgery.
Well, the scripture says, I feel like preaching now. The scripture says that that God is the father to the fatherless, and He's also the husband
to the widow.
To the widow. Your story will not end today.
It will not end today.
And there's so much. I'm excited for Ella has she reported to Princeton?
She just came from South Africa for a meeting.
She just came from South Africa. You guys, I'm so excited about you guys. When I met you, I knew there was something.
And she sends her regards.
Who sends her regards?
Fastest.
Well done. I received a pen. Oh, wow. Wow. Princeton University. You know, your story won't end here. There's so much more in store. There's no doubt about it. It's clear. Everything that has happened until today has all been a miracle. One of the things that I really sense greatly even about you guys is that you're there to encourage others who may be going through the same situation that you all went through. I love your attitude, that you didn't get to the place where you said, man, things are not working out. From Eswatini, I can only imagine. Where are you trying to go next?
Applied to a couple of schools. I'm waiting for 2 more next week, but I have 5 at the moment that have accepted me on a full scholarship. So I'm just...
Wait, why do you guys say these things like this? You have 5 that have already accepted you on a full scholarship.
Yeah.
Mom, I need to be adopted. There's something about,
We need a son.
Yes, absolutely. And your story is going to go far. There's no doubt about it. There'll be more that will come out of this. I cannot wait. You're the kinds of people that we will hear you've gotten married and become president of I don't know which country, and you're like, how did that work? How did that work? Yeah. And I know there's greatness that is bound up in all of you, every one of you. You all are a walking miracle. And Mom, thank you for raising them in a godly and a God-fearing way, because now they cannot, on their own, they will not depart, because there's something that you've instilled inside of every one of them. I can see. I don't even need to meet Ella to know that even her faith level is on another place. I want you all to take turns.
Yeah.
Just look into that camera over there, starting with Mom. Encourage a widow today who thinks this is the end of her life, that things cannot turn to become good, that does God really take care of widows? Yeah, I want you to speak to the camera. Before that, I also want to let you guys know, I want you also to take turns to look into that camera. There are kids out there who are fatherless or motherless, and they're wondering, is there hope for me? I want you to, almost as a parting shot, speak to someone out there who's listening to your stories and said, I am exactly where they were. How can I pull out of this place? Mom, go. Look into the camera.
Wow. All right. So if you've had my story, I know that many times, when you're widowed, the first impulse is, what will I do? A lot of societies put pressure on women to remarry or be inherited, and there's a lot of pressure, and I know a lot of women are thrown out of their homes. Some even don't even attend the burials of their husbands or whatever the case, and you'll be accused that you murdered the man, or you'll be accused of all manner of things. Things may be taken away from you or not. Friends will leave you or not. However it goes, just take it as a new season. God, when He created you, He knew the number of your days, and even that day was numbered. And is God who never leaves and He never forsakes. In fact, in Proverbs chapter 15, verse 25 says that the Lord will destroy the house of the proud, but He'll establish the border of the widow. So don't remarry out of anxiety or out of pressure or out of just losing identity. God has a brand new identity for you. So trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Don't look at your circumstances. Tomorrow your days out in front of you are way, way, way better than now. And delay is not denial. And God knows our days, and He knew that husband would not be there for that day. So, yes, as you're mourning, mourn in the Lord. Mourn in the Lord. Be encouraged. Those children belong to the Lord. They are not your children. You're just a guardian. So God knows what they'll eat, how they'll dress, and what. And please reach out and speak to a friend. Don't compare your life to anybody else's life. It's your life, it's your journey. And God wants to be glorified in that space. So take it easy, seek the Lord with all of your heart. Just look at God. Don't look left, right, or center. And it doesn't matter what they say. Just focus on the Lord. And He will bring this to pass for His glory. Amen.
Amen. Wow. Lety.
My sister Kimmy always used to sing this song, and there's this lyric that I'll never forget. And it says, "You give me a story and you trade my scars for a testimony." So just a reminder that even in that moment, those scars, the Lord is trading for a testimony.
Thank you. Wow.
For young people like us who are fatherless, stand on the authority of Scripture, because if God says that He's going to be the father of the fatherless, He is. His word is His integrity. And so if you take it to Him and you tell Him, you say you are going to be the father of the fatherless, He will back up His word, because it is His integrity. And for each and every single one of you, whether fatherless or not, the Bible says in Acts 13 verse 36 that David served God's purpose in his generation. And even though you're living your passion is not your purpose. There's a purpose for you in God. And so if you stick with the Lord, He will show you exactly why He has created you, and you will find ultimate fulfillment in the plan that He has for your life. And so stick with Jesus. He will never let go of your hand. No matter whether you feel Him or not, He is always there, and He's always waiting for you to turn around and take hold of His. That's my word.
My goodness. There's a lovely church down the road. It's called Rock West. They're looking for a preacher. and you seem to have fit the bill. I will talk to a few people. I'll make a few calls. But wow, what a wonderful story. What a wonderful testimony that's coming out of you. I want you guys to do something for me.
Yes, please.
I want you guys to say something to your mom about her journey and about the next phase of her life.
Absolutely.
Speak to Mom.
Should I start? I always say that, there will never be a better mother for us, because God knew that when He was creating us, He needed you to be our mom. And no matter what happens, because I know that, as much as this interview is happening and, Pastor Don can say we are such great kids and whatnot, you have to bear the good and the bad of us. in the growing process. But your faith, your prayer, your love, your consistency in God has enabled me to say, I've told you several times that the greatest gift you gave me was to introduce me to the Lord, because he's everything to me. I'd rather lose everything in life, but if I lose Jesus, then I'm gone. And so what is upon your life, only God knows. Like you say, your life is in his entry. And so your days are just beginning. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, for me, I know you're always backing me up in prayer. So I know, like, on the difficult days, on the good days, I know there's somebody behind me, and I don't know what else I could have asked for from my mother. The faith you show us, and I mean, your love for God is admirable. You can't even describe it, and I mean, there's no other mother God could have given to us. And through the trials, through the happiness, through the laughter, you'll always be the best mother God could have given to us. And I mean, I don't even think about, like, oh yeah, my father was here, this would be different, because you stepped into two shoes, and the things you've done to make this possible, and the things that you allow God to use you for is, I mean, I can't, there's no words.
Yeah.
Mom, do you want to respond to what your daughters have said?
You've caught me off guard, but I've told you that, and I'm going to tell you again, that you're the best children, really most sincerely, that a mother could ask for. I think about the days when I left you to, when I was working away, and I have to give all the credit to God, because even if I'd asked anybody to take care of you, wouldn't, but I knew that God was your father. And I knew that you were safe in his hands, and I knew that he was a better father than any father. So wherever you go, whatever you do, you don't have to worry. You don't have to look and be, and wonder, whom shall I ask? Your first call, I've taught you that the first call is to God. Before you come to me, you ask your father. Before you do anything, you ask your father. Anything that it is that you want, ask him. He owns everything. And you're the best children to raise, and I could not ask for any other children. You're the best children that you made bringing you up very easy. So thank you. All these issues of adolescence and whatnot, I cannot complain. So you are amazing kids. Go on, and I'm supporting you here. And as long as I'm here, I keep telling Ella, and I tell you that as long as I'm here, you don't have to worry. And whatever happens, God is for us 100%. I think he wanted us to be a billboard and an example to the rest of the world of his goodness and his mercy. Okay?
So well said. Oh my goodness. So moving, so intriguing. This family, the Bwonya family. You've heard God has been with them from day one. You may be out there saying, has the Lord forsaken me? Does the Lord know I'm here? And the answer through their story is clearly, God is there, and he's fighting on your behest.
Yeah.
He's on your behalf. This can only be the beginning of what God is trying to do in your life, in their lives. Everyone has a story. When you take time and listen, you will always find God in the details. Not what the other guys say, but God is in the details. May this story bless you. Share this with someone. Encourage someone who today is feeling maybe, I don't know if there's hope for me. I want you to know that there is indeed hope for you. This is a clear example. Thank you so much for coming on the bench
Thank you
today.
for having us.
Asante sana.
Thank you for having
And I cannot wait to see what happens next week, you guys.
Amen.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
All right.